0.02 milliseconds. That's how long it takes Citizen's brain to realise that his limbs have been jettisoned from his body in a cloud of blood and gore. He falls to the ground as a torso with nothing to support him. To make matters worse, he is hemorrhaging blood from the 4 newest holes in his body. Desperately, he crawls into town, his path marked by a river of blood that an underpaid wagey will grumble at tomorrow. He just about makes it into his friend's store and grabs some bandages with his teeth. However, his friend has acute face blindness and can only distinguish people by their limbs, things that recently Citizen has been dispossessed of. Sounding the alarm, guards rush in and grab the thief and throw him into a cage before patching up his wounds. This sort of situation is all too common in the world of Kenshi, where at any given moment there are slavers fighting against religious zealots over the remains of a caravan who have been attacked by wild animals. Acid rain, poison fog and starvation are everyday occurrences one does well to avoid. And it's in this hellscape that our hero's story begins. This is Citizen. His father was a famous bounty hunter that has unfortunately recently passed away, leaving our boy Citizen with only his katana and aspirations for him to follow in his footsteps, something that might be slightly tricky given recent events. Will Citizen be able to overcome this horrible incident, secure new limbs and follow in his father's footsteps to become a bounty hunter? Alright, don't stare, lads. That's really rude. Please, 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 I'm sorry. Brother, run! Run from Zeus! Run from slavery! Run from the rain! After 20 hours in prison and almost all of our blood recovered, we were finally let out. Immediately, we began to move swiftly to recover our lost limbs. A big problem for us is our movement speed is really slow. That is on full display here, as by the time we make it to our limbs, they're gone. I believe that they were eaten by this bug monster here. As a staunch capitalist and believer in free trade, Citizen then starts to strip this monster of flesh and claws in exchange. This is step 1 of our 4-step plan to achieve our aims. Step 1 is to not starve to death. It might seem simple, but this is the hardest step. It's going to require a mix of scavenging dead bodies, both human and monster alike, as well as stealing. Once we're not on the brink of death, we then move on to step 2, securing an arm. See, with 0 limbs, we are limited in our capability, but with 1 arm, it unlocks a world of possibilities, like lockpicking and reaching things that aren't on the floor. Once we have an arm and some money under our belt, we can move on to step 3, securing the rest of our limbs. Legs are rumored to be good for things like standing and running away from people trying to murder you, which in Kenshi is most people that you meet. Once we're on steady feet, we can move on to step 4, upgrading our limbs, hopefully making them better than the fleshy fallible ones that failed us so recently. But that's a little grand right now for someone who's currently using his molars to gnaw on a knuckle. We need somewhere to sell these items. Unfortunately, the first shack I crawl into is a skeleton doctor. Take a look around. Skeleton doctor. Ah, perfect! Yes, okay, he has legs and stuff for sale. A skeleton doctor is a sentient robot that sells prosthetic limbs, and in Kenshi, business is booming. The cheapest limb he has available is 680 cats, and after selling everything we have, we only have 501, which means it's back out scavenging. Okay, it's not a terrible start. Let's see if we can go and loot anything else. Alright, don't stare, lads. That's really rude. That's really quite rude, isn't it? What's in here? Utterly ashamed of how quickly his life has fallen apart, Citizen repeatedly buries his head in the sand. This is to stop passers-by from recognizing him. He's not the smartest, he doesn't realize he's very recognizable without limbs. To help with this, he's also sneaking everywhere he goes, which is actually a really important part of our strategy. You see, Citizen was coddled by his father, and so he has started with basically no skills whatsoever. Stealth in particular is going to be very important for our life of crime. After hours upon hours of crawling, we eventually make it back to our skeleton doctor, only to find that someone has bought all of the cheapest limbs, and I think I know who.
Hey there, don't mind me, I'll just be taking this and going on my merry way.
What? I physically could not have gotten here faster. We had now run out of rations, and given the price of food, it looked like we would starve to death long before we secured any sort of limb. This meant we had to resort to stealing a little earlier than I thought we were ready for. Crawling nonchalantly into the store, pretending to browse the wares, Citizen slowly made his way upstairs, hoping for something easy to steal, preferably at ground level. Unfortunately, upstairs there's a guard posted and nothing immediately obvious. Dejected, he left the store to try the next day. Or he tried to leave the store. What? No, not intruder, not intruder. Would like to leave, not an intruder. It just took me a long time to get down the stairs. Oh no. I'm not a thief. Well, I am. Well, no, I haven't stolen anything. It'd taken us that long to go up and down the stairs that the store was now closed and we were being treated as a trespasser. Panicking, I went up the stairs in an attempt to hide so I could try and escape the next day. Unable to see us in the dark, things did eventually settle down when the guards stopped looking. They are on high alert, but I should be fine provided I don't do anything stupid. Might as well loot this. No, please, I'm sorry. My addiction to gambling meant that I saw a 33% chance of success as a guaranteed win, and before I knew it, 3 men had pulled out weapons and took it in turns to violently decorate the floor with my blood. After I'd lost half the blood in my body and was unconscious due to the pain, one of the men used me to get a workout in by treating me as a medicine ball, and repeatedly threw me against the ground, tossing me to the side when he was done. This was bad! I had a minor head injury, but more pressingly, I had multiple stab wounds to the chest. I'm from the United Kingdom, so take my word for it that this is a dire situation. Without treatment, we were definitely going to bleed to death. Once the store opened, a man once again threw me over his shoulder. I thought at this point I would be taken to the prison where I'd be treated, but instead I was carried to the front door and simply thrown outside.
Oh.
Just threw me out the front door. He couldn't even be bothered to clear the steps as we rolled to a stop still on store property. Once this number hits -100, we die, and Citizen fades into memory as the human Slinky. As we lay waiting for the end, a random Samaritan comes over and bandages our wounds, bringing us back from the brink of death. I say Samaritan and not Good Samaritan because whilst this man did stop our imminent death, he took one look at the limbless, unconscious figure and thought, "Not my problem," and casually sauntered off. We were in a recovery coma, unable to wake up until our chest heals to 0. This was a process that took multiple days and nights of us lying there unmoving. Patrons of the store literally had to step over us to get inside. Guards would take their post right next to our unmoving body. We were now as ornamental as a plant pot. In a reversal of fortune, the bounty hunter's son now had a bounty of 2,500 cats on his head, which any passerby could collect by simply throwing us over their shoulder and taking us to the police station. I might have even preferred this because then we'd be fed and treated. But after about 45 minutes in real life and around 48 hours in the game, Citizen got up. Well, he opened his eyes, he didn't really get up. Come on. Get up. Get up. Yes! Alright, we're up and running. We're crippled. We have a bounty. That's not good. Go! Go! Crawl away! We were still heavily injured, but more importantly, we were starving to death and desperately needed to find food. I tried going inside the store to see if there was any charity to be had, but the store owner immediately yelled at us to get out, recognizing us from our time outside. That means he knew we were there the entire time. The only item of food we had on us was raw meat, which needs to be dried to be consumed. To do this, we need a campfire. This seems like a simple endeavor, but like any good video game, Kenshi has incredibly strict zoning laws, meaning you have to leave the boundaries of the town to be able to build anything. This meant another 3 hours of crawling through hot sand in order to reach our campfire. All of that effort for a singular piece of meat. In fact, looking back at the footage, we began this saga with 172 hunger, and we peaked at 170, meaning this was a net loss. I was going to remove this from the script upon realizing that, but if my time was wasted, I'm going to waste yours. To make our lives worse, the people of the town were now spreading vicious rumors about us, like, he eats babies. That was a one-time thing and not proven in court. Eventually, I caved and went to buy some food, literally selling the shirt off our back in order to pay for it. All of that for a single loaf of bread. Just as I was losing all hope, I crawled into the skeleton doctor's office to try and sell some rags I'd found on a dead body when I saw this. Yes. Okay, right. We can get a shoddy arm. Yes. Oh, this is huge. We now had 25% of our limbs back and could do wondrous things, like picking a lock, scratching our nose, clicking like and subscribe on this video. To celebrate, we marched straight into the police HQ and announced that we were a bounty hunter that was looking for work. I jumped the gun a bit there. Our first act with this newfound limb was to go straight back to the store that had decorated their roof with our internal organs and see what they had on offer. Nervously, knowing that we could be in for some deja vu, I attempted to steal a ring saber with a value of 1,416 cats. Oh my god! That's a hell of a sale. That's a hell of a thing to steal. Look at that. However, selling the saber is another thing altogether. I made an incredible discovery. I found this lying on the ground and it's definitely not stolen. Stolen items have a fencing chance, meaning the likelihood that you're able to sell it without getting caught for selling stolen goods. As I live in Birmingham, I already have these connections, but unfortunately in Kenshi, I do not. You have two choices. You can either sell to a fence, which I couldn't find anywhere, or you can travel to a new city and try and ply your trade there. Dragging ourselves across the bridge to the other side of town, I resolved to steal as much as I could and take a pilgrimage to another city to sell our gear. However, in the very first spot I tried, I demonstrated a clear inability to learn from my previous mistakes. No, please, I'm trying, no, not intruder, I'm leaving, no alarm necessary, I'm leaving, not intruder. Oh, they rushed me, okay, we're good, who's this guy? Crawling to this mushroom-shaped building, I found such bounties as raw meat just lying around the place. Realizing that our stealth skill had gotten sufficiently high enough to be able to hide, I suddenly morphed into my 14-year-old self wearing camouflage face paint for paintball. They can't see me. I'm invisible. I'm a ghost. I'm an invisible ghost. Spotting some valuable grog, I came up with a plan. I stole the jug and then carefully lay some tattered robes that I found on a body outside to make it seem as if someone had drunk the alcohol and spontaneously combusted due to its low quality. You may think this an unlikely explanation, but this is the leading cause of death for children under 12 in the city of Heng. Pilfering small valuables like a skeleton muscle, a large rock, and some hinges, it was time to leave town. Shuffling out, we find a perverse nod to our current predicament, passing a severed limb as the guards watch us go. This is the most dangerous moment of our run, as given it takes us hours to get from one end of town to the other, this journey was going to take days. If any ne'er-do-well or a particularly mobile fungus looks at us the wrong way, we will be unable to duck, dive, or even dodge our way out of danger. Our only real defense mechanisms are remaining unseen and playing dead. Still, if Citizen wanted to complete his goal, this had to be the next step. The Great Desert is filled with dangers, for example insect-like carnivorous beings, random roving gangs, and roving gangs of carnivorous beings, each of which making me create new innovative ways to imitate the dying calls of a large mammal. We had a few very close calls, all of whom made closer by the fact that I'd unknowingly donned heavy armor, which takes our stealth stat down to 0. We were the stealth equivalent of an earthworm wearing maracas. Eventually though, we could see the city in the distance, and as we got closer, the local culture was in full display. By which I mean there were several different groups stabbing each other for food, the irony of which being that none of them had any food. Even as the sole survivor kills the last man and starts looting him, he's already dead. Unfortunately, this distracted me, meaning I completely missed the group passing close by. One of these men ran directly at us. I feared he would kill us and end the run, but what happened next was far more humiliating. For him. You see, I've studied extensively at Steven Seagal's school of Aikido, meaning that I have mastered the ability to repel a man using nothing but my energies. We were able to use this to great effect, using our unbridled aura to send the man flying. Taking mercy on the man, we opted to leave him alive, leaving him as a warning to others. The rest of the journey was uneventful and we finally made it to our destination, Stoked. One of the larger towns in this region, it has several amenities and properties for purchase, which for us means more opportunities for things to steal. Taking a quick stats check, our athletics and our stealth are at respectable levels, but beyond that we're still in a rough state. Our main aim in the city is to complete step 3, get enough money to buy new limbs. Firstly though, we gotta go back and address step 1 because we're now currently starving to death having burned through all of our food rations. Not wanting to steal before I got the lay of the land, we went towards some sort of eatery. Our options weren't great, with our only realistic choice being a sandwich that threatened us on an emotional level. Probably a big contributor to desert suicide. Still, being English, this is a much better quality of food that I'm used to, so I went ahead and bought it. Time to hit the town. Here we have the police headquarters. This is a random man's house. This is the stage of humiliation and unusual punishments. Another random man's house, but possibly a meth lab given just how upset he is that we're here. And finally, a bar. In this final location, I talked to every individual I could in hopes that one of them would be a fence that would buy my dubiously acquired goods. Instead, each of them begged me for cash. Just how bad must things have gotten for you to beg this man for money? This person's name was Dirt, and yet he had somehow sunken lower than that. Fortunately, the sheer distance that I covered meant that my dirty goods were now clean, and I could happily sell them. This pulled in more than 4,000 cats, enough for several bad limbs or one good one. However, I had made a critical mistake. After searching the town for at least an hour in real life, I came to the realization that there was no skeleton doctor here. There were no limbs to be bought in this entire city. I went about the town looking for items to steal, and for the third time this playthrough, I got myself locked in a store. Oh no. Oh god, I'm locked in. I suppose it's a good time to try and steal, I guess. Oh, we're not good enough at lockpicking, but... However, thanks to my stealth skill, I was able to move around undetected, search containers. I opened a small barrel to see 2 swords, each with a 31% chance to steal. 90% of gamblers quit before they went big, and you just can't argue with probability like that. Scooping up any loose change I could find, as well as a grinding machine, we were loaded with stolen goods. I'm not risking another 33% chance. That's a terrible idea. I think I just gotta wait until I'm let out. Eventually we were let out and it was time to make our way to the 3rd city, Heft. Yes, I'll be leaving now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Alright, I think it's time to head out. We're going east. It took 2 days and 3 nights of crawling to eventually reach the gates. Hello, gentlemen. I'd like to come in, please. Thank you. Yep, excellent. They didn't even see me. At this point, our stealth skill was so high, the guards didn't even notice us crawling between their legs and into the city. Our hunger at this point was lower than it's ever been, and we were once again starving to death. Again, in what world is 1 kilogram of dried meat 86 cats, but a loaf of bread is 530? Also, how is that a quarter of the nutritional value? I understand this place isn't exactly known for its booming agriculture, but the paleo diet is now the fiscally responsible choice. Crawling into a small shack, I was delighted to find a skeleton doctor. Yes! I was not delighted to find a complete lack of goods. What? Why doesn't he have any limbs? He's got nothing for sale! No, come on. Once again, I think I know who's to blame.
Definitely not me. I wouldn't have taken those limbs. Maybe someone else. Not this guy, though.
Some sick individual had bought every single limb available in this town, presumably because he found our predicament funny. At the very least, this meant the doctor had enough money to buy all of our wares, leading to a total of 6,657 cats. We now had to wait for more limbs to come to stock, giving us some time to kill. Alright, let's get the lay of the land, I guess. Previously, I was forced to buy food, but with our new and improved stealth stat, we can simply take food. Remember, if you're a hardcore enough communist, it's not stealing, it's redistribution. Our main barrier to gaining wealth and becoming an alpha male is this stealing chance. This represents a 69% possibility that people are alerted to our activities and we return to life as a doorstop. To combat this, we need to level our thievery skill, something that is easily done by stealing everything in sight. And I mean everything. Water jug? Don't mind if I do. A wooden barrel? That's mine now. Not even this weird cylinder was safe from my grasp. To further test our skills, we went to the police station and began to crawl along the floor unseen. We were so proficient at this point, I even stole the book this man was reading. For good measure, I planted a set of earrings into his pocket, hopefully causing marital strife, leading to a divorce. We do have limited inventory space, so I resorted to dropping the items as I left, leaving a literal paper trail of guilt. These men had violated the social contract by wearing a slightly different hat, and so were brutally cut down the street before being carried off to prison. This presented us with a unique opportunity. See, the people of Kenshi are horribly distrustful, stashing away valuable items in locked containers. This makes it difficult for entrepreneurs like myself to make a fair trade, and so we're going to need lockpicking. By following these men and unlocking their cages, we could practice the skill. This had the bonus effect of making it seem like these prisoners were trying to escape, thus leading to incredible violence on the part of the guards and resetting their sentence, giving us more opportunities to practice. The prisoners would beg me to stop, but Citizen is a staunch libertarian and cannot stand imprisonment, so buddy, you're free. I did this for several days straight, staying in the middle of these cages to remain unseen. This leveled our lockpicking and thievery to new heights, giving us the tools that we need for this next step. Whilst we've been leveling, the skeleton doctor has just brought in a new shipment of limbs. We can only really afford one shoddy cheap leg. Still, it's been 21 days in the wasteland and we finally have 50% of our limbs. However, this was going to take a while, so let me introduce you to the concept of vertical integration. We steal items to then buy limbs. But what if we cut out the middleman by simply stealing limbs? This is what we spent the last 3 weeks grinding for. Waiting for night, we crawl into the shop. He's unable to see us as he's expecting us to hop in, not crawl. Opening a small crate, we find several limbs this man has been hiding from us, not even trying to sell them. Worse than that, he has a lock crate right there, but with a 6.6% chance, this was going to be a long night. It may have taken 3 weeks, but we were now sneaky enough to attempt this in full view of the shopkeeper without him being able to tell anything was wrong. What's that squeaky noise? Probably just a rat. It took 2 nights of trying this lock before we finally cracked it. What's in here? Oh my lord. I successfully stole a high quality skeleton leg and secured it to our stump. And for the first time in 3 weeks, Citizen walked out of there. Oh, it's beautiful. Stand up, tall citizen. Oh, Lieutenant Dan, you've got new legs. Look at that. Then it occurred to me, there's a lot of wealth we're leaving behind. As a staunch technocrat, Citizen hates inefficiency, and so we're going back in. Taking off our legs suddenly does throw us to the ground, but it also means our stealth goes up to 100 again. We were caught stealing, and I thought we were on a one-way trip back to being a stair ornament. However, I forgot crucially that racism exists. See, the Doctor is a sentient robot, so when he calls for the guards, no one cares. Meaning we could take as many tries as we want to steal, and there's nothing wrong with that. Ladies and gentlemen, step 3 is complete. We now have a full set of limbs. For the first time, we can even wield our father's katana, though not very well. The single most noticeable thing, though, was our movement speed. Look how fast we are! Oh my god, that's an all play! Look! Oh! It's beautiful! You have to understand that for the past couple of hours I've been staring at this, and so the ability to run gave me a feeling of indescribable euphoria that led me to see the face of some unknown deity. The crawling around on the floor had leveled our athletics to an unparalleled degree, meaning when we were finally given legs, we were rapid. Meow, meow. Meow. Stopping off at the bar, I sat with these two characters, who informed me that their dealings with the Hivers led to rumours of a skeleton city called the Black Desert City that had the best limbs around. Chaps, we have our next destination to complete, step 4. I knew this would be expensive though, so we needed to grab some serious gear to sell at this new destination. So going to the shop and selling our stolen goods, I found the biggest backpack money could buy. Then we headed upstairs to the armory where there were several high-ticket items. Oh, look at that. That wasn't enough, so we came back at night, and taking off all of our limbs, we went to sneak in. Before realizing that I'd taken off both of my arms and so had lost my ability to lockpick, and sheepishly went back. I left my arm behind. So stupid. I left my arm behind. Come on. Okay, nice. What's in here? We've come a long way since stealing bits of raw meat and a grinding machine. Loaded up with goods, it was time to make our journey to Black Desert City. The legs made this journey actually possible, but don't forget this is still Kenshi, and so soon we were being chased. Oh my god. Bro's getting chased! Run! Run! Brother, run! Everyone's coughing and wheezing. Lose him on the turns! Lose him on the turns! Go! Go, my boy, go! However, a group of good Samaritans engaged our pursuers, allowing me to put some distance between us. We made it to the Deadlands, and it was about to earn its name. A little bit of acid rain. Oh, no. That's right, at that moment, acid rain began pouring from the sky, meaning every bit of exposed skin was being chemically burned. I would have stopped to find shelter, but the same group had caught up and was almost on me, forcing me to keep going. To make matters worse, Zeus himself had taken personal issue with us, with lightning striking ever closer. Brother, run! Run from Zeus! Run from slavery! Run from the rain! Things were not looking good. We were closing in on Black Desert City, but with the danger mounting, I was forced to make a hard decision. Cornered by our pursuers, we were forced to sprint along a tiny ledge and into an acid river. These guys were so determined to catch me, they chased me through a lightning storm and now into an acid bath. Still, putting on the jets, we finally lost them at this bridge. We had made it. Seeking protection from the rain, we dove into this mentally unstable robot's house. But just as I was settling down and checking on our wares, our pursuers were back. However, they were trapped outside. At this point, I thought I'd slowly watch them die to the acid rain, and some of them had even lost limbs. Oh my god, he crawled in! Taking a closer look, the gear seemed slightly familiar. They were all wearing samurai gear, just like the guards back home. Turns out this was a protection squad of some sort thanks to my father's high standing. They were trying to escort me safely as I took off at high speed. Those good Samaritans earlier? Yeah, those were raiders. Losing them on the bridge? Yeah, those were terrifying mechanical monsters they were protecting me from. I'd swum through an acid lake and they were desperately trying to keep up. I mean, this guy lost limbs. Taking a look at the faction screen, it looked like these guys would be with us for the next 2 days. This meant I was heavily flanked as I made my way to the skeleton doctor, who, true to the rumours, had some pretty incredible limbs. Oh, this is the good stuff, look at that. Selling all our gear to him netted us around 20,000 cats, a tidy profit. I did however realise that no one here sold any food, given this was a robot settlement. This severely limited our time here. One of the places I tried to check for food was the bar, where I started a conversation with Sad Neil. I just hired someone. What? Sad Neil? What? No! Who the hell is Sad Neil? An unfortunately common occurrence for me in everyday life, a casual conversation had turned into them swearing an oath of fealty to myself and my cause. This is why I don't talk to strangers. Sad Neil was now a part of the party, I guess, but looking at his stats, I wasn't sure that was a good thing. Oh my god, he's terrible! However, he was immune to the acid rain, so I used him to scout out places of interest. Did not want to end up like these guys. Exploring this weird scrap factory, I found these spider robots. I am clinically legally inobservant, which meant that I failed to notice the red icon when hovering over them, meaning Sad Neil was immediately attacked. Run, Sad Neil, run! Run! The hell is this place? I have no idea what these things are, I just know that they keep me up at night. Due to events entirely out of my control, there were several acid-burned samurai bodies around the place. This meant that we could get Sad Neil some starting gear. However, the other samurai did not take kindly to their comrades being stripped, and so Sad Neil was attacked for the second time in as many minutes. He did get his revenge, however, as the contract was up and the samurai began to walk home. Unfortunately for them, the acid rain was still in full force and Neil began to attack the stragglers to slow them down. Messed up. The other troops were unable to help these unfortunates, else be consumed by acid rain themselves. Neil is a wonderful, disposable psychopath, and if anything happens to him, I'm going to force Citizen to commit suicide. Our hunger was going down, and that is our cue to leave, but we weren't going to leave empty-handed. Pulling our old trick of reverting to torso form like some sort of cancelled transformer, we snuck upstairs, and what I found shocked me. Oh, that looks good. The only problem with this veritable bounty is that each item had a 30% chance to steal. If we failed, the alarm would be raised, we'd be cut down and promptly thrown out into the streets. The guards don't bandage you here. If you go down, you're not getting back up. However, the thief's arm was way too good of an opportunity to pass up. If we wanted an upgrade, this was it. Stealing chance 102%. Okay, grab that. I think the thief hand has meant that I can steal all of this stuff. Stealing the thief's arm had done something incredible. Our thievery chances went from a meager 30% to an unfailable 102% thanks to the bonuses of this arm. This meant all of this was now free loot. I quickly told Sad Neil to join us upstairs. I then stole every single limb that I could, throwing any ones that I couldn't carry onto the floor for Sad Neil to pick up. With a full set of upgraded limbs that far outstripped the abilities of our old fleshy ones, and a backpack stuffed full of masterwork ones, it was time to go home, to hang. Without so much as a backward look or an apologetic note, we blitzed it out of Black Desert City. There was a problem though. The rate at which the acid rain was sapping away at our health meant that we weren't going to make it. Checking the map, I found this ruin, which I figured would be a good place to wait out the storm a little bit and regain some of our health points. The door was locked, but with our existing skills enhanced by our limbs, this wouldn't be an issue. Citizen picked the lock and ventured inside. What the hell? What? What are you... Illuminated occasionally by lightning, it seemed like these robots had somehow adopted Citizen as their master. For reasons beyond my understanding or control, like ducklings or young men in the far-right strategy game Pipeline, they had flocked to me and would follow me anywhere. Looking around the rest of the ruin, I found some ancient textbooks that detailed long-lost technologies. Unfortunately, Citizen never learned to read beyond the level of anime subtitles, and so did not understand what these were, but they were small and valuable, so into the backpack they go. A very stark contrast to how this journey began. It was time for the final push home. Citizen, thanks to his leveled up athletics, is a very fast character. Sad Neil, however, is not. This meant he lagged behind and was beset upon by some raiders. Run, Sad Neil, run! Keep running, buddy! Oh, he's not going to make it, is he? He received critical damage and lay there dying on the sand. But he was carrying very valuable cargo, and so Citizen was compelled to come back and revive him. As he did so, the very same raiders came back for round 2, at which point a cacophony of robotic voices filled the air as the private army did their job. And boy, did they do it well. Realizing there was nothing now to fear from the wastelands, we picked the most direct route home. Arriving at Heng, some of the guards seemed to take issue with an unknown robot army descending upon their home and began to engage them in combat. Not the citizen even noticed, so excited he was to pass through the gates on his own 2 feet. Barely registering the blood-soaked sand, he sold his hard-fought gains for a tidy profit, netting over 50,000 cats, enough for all the terrible bread he could possibly buy. He even went back to his friend's shop, whose face spineless had sadly not gotten better, and only recognizing his torso as that of a thief. Undeterred by that, or the mild civil war that had just erupted between robots and the guards, who told a story of a malicious clanker that had cut down their men whilst they were beset upon by acid rain, citizens strolled into the police HQ and announced that he was a bounty hunter. His first job? Find and kill the man who had brought these robots and destroyed much of the town. This was the second ever playthrough I'd ever done of Kenshi, and it was a lot of fun. If you have any playthroughs for Kenshi or any other game that you want to see me play in this sort of video style, please let me know in the comments down below. And whilst you're there, I'd really appreciate it if you would mind liking the video and subscribing. Otherwise, chaps, I'll see you all next time. Bye.